All right. Welcome, welcome. Creative Collection is in the building. How's everyone
Yes,
doing?
sir. I'm good, man. How y'all?
Everybody's
I'm
good.
good.
Oh, we
Good.
good. We want to welcome Kozis Wellness to the stage, everyone. And basically, just give you a rundown of what we are doing here. This is Creative Collection. We are creatives and we come together to discuss solutions on everyday life. We started during the pandemic on Instagram with our first conversation, and we had music performers and different artists performing, and we were discussing solutions. And then as it got more serious, we turned it into okay, let's capture the moments and history and everyone who is in the fight so that the future could look back on it and see exactly who everyone is and why everything is the way it is. So that's why we wanted you to come on the show tonight, Kozi.
And well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's appreciated for sure because it's important to get the message across in the essence. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, we have to do our part, spread the word, spread the truth, and debunk the lies, and you know, making sure that we're doing our part in history, right? Because when history is going the wrong way, we have to, you know, point it out and say, hey, we don't want to move this way. We're going to move this way because this is the right way. And that's what I try to do on a daily basis, whatever I can. Because we are responsible. I think that people like us and like yourselves, right? I keep saying this, and I like to say this is like we're special type of people because we can see through the lies, we can see through the bull, and there's a special light inside of us, and that light uh, is something that I know you guys understand what I'm talking about because like something special in us that can see, through the propaganda, right? And because we have this light, I believe where we have a responsibility to help others see it too, and we're gonna keep trying. And I know you guys do it too because it's like it's something that it's not even hard for you to do because it's like it's second nature to you because you know that it's the right thing to do as a human being.
Right.
Absolutely. This is what can make it better, and we have our special guest Kozi, and he's going to introduce himself.
All right, hello everybody. Well, I'm a health freedom activist or medical freedom activist, uh, and former healthcare worker that was fired for refusing to take the COVID shot. So when I talk about medical freedom, I've been doing this for about a decade or so. Probably like since 2009, I've been, speaking out against vaccines in general. I became a public speaker. I became an influencer. My background is also in holistic health. I'm an energy healer. Many of you newer followers don't know that about me because that's taken a back seat for a while. But I'm going to get into it again. Have my own business, like you guys mentioned, natural soaps. I started doing that because I lost my job, so I started jumped into the entrepreneur role. So I'm doing whatever I can, and recently I've been putting out hip hop music, um, and that's how I feel called to spread the message in that way because I think that music is very powerful. So what I want to do now is like put the message, embed the message into music, and let it go around the world.
All
Definitely.
right.
You raising the frequencies with that. Definitely.
Yeah, we need a whole bunch of that's something that we working on too as well is getting more high vibrational music out there, what I'm saying, to go not necessarily combat but just to give a new element out here that make it cool, to make a sound that's more appealing for us to health wise, like spiritually and mentally and physically, and not this music that's just tarnishing us in other ways. It may feel good for a moment when we listening, but when you really soak in some of these messages, it's just not really helping us. So trying to blend it and just bring some more better messages. The one thing I want to capture, before we get into it, is just shout out to the fight for 10, you said 10 years. I've been doing certain things for 10 years, like creatively and stuff like that, so I couldn't imagine just being in a fight like that on the front line 10 years. So shout out to you for that, because that's just amazing right there. And also your third eye been open so long. If you've been fighting something before, it's gotten to the point where it's just uncontrollable, where it's like you said, second nature to go against it. You was doing it before it was second nature. You was doing it when you really had to have a cognitive level of experience to even know like something's wrong already. So shout out to you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and shout out to New York Freedom Rally. Definitely, definitely, making strides in this system. And New York du jour also. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They're doing their thing. Everybody's contributing how they can, and that's what I want to see. I like to see people fighting back from every angle because we can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone, but we put our talents together. Some people are good at organizing. Some people are good at drawing. Some people making music. Some people speaking. Some people, like I said, organizing, making things fun. Like just, whatever we can do to hit them with, we're going to hit back because that's our job. My mission is to expose them for what they are, show the truth and let their demonic system fall, because it needs to fall, it needs to crumble, and we need to rise up good vibrations, rise up good people to take their seats and get in positions of power. And I'm not talking about destroying them in a anarchy type of way. What I'm saying is getting people like us, like-minded people, to start maybe taking these political seats, right? Getting them into different areas where we can actually change the system.
Right. That's the only way to work. Yeah.
I mean, ain't nothing like somebody that got experience getting on the seat. It's like a basketball player turning into a coach. It's like why it just makes sense.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so we here now. You talked about your soaps just now, your natural soap. I mean, we love natural things. Honestly, at this point, we just love God-given natural things. So now we understand that you had decided to make the soaps and stuff like that. But was there any other like motive behind you making the natural soaps and stuff like that, or do you have any other detail you want to speak on briefly about like why you decided to go with soap specifically? Because you could have did many other things that were creative outside of like working for the city.
Yeah. Well, I always like soaps. I like natural everything, right? And I like how soaps make people feel in terms of like, it's not just regular like ivory soap, right? So it's soap made with natural oils. It has aromatherapy basically in it, right? So you have like eucalyptus oils and fresh orange oil and, all types of stuff, vanilla and all these amazing scents that make you feel good. Like when you smell it, you feel great. Like it just opens up different centers in your body. And like when I'm taking a shower with this stuff, like I feel like I'm being renewed. I'm feeling like, oh wow, like smelling a whole garden. You know what I mean? Like a blooming garden, or like it just takes you away. And it always did that for me. You know what I mean? Like whenever I smelled natural soaps, it's like, wow, like I'm taking a little journey while I'm showering, like a little vacation. So I felt like, you know what? People can use that right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of stress relief and pleasure. So that's why I decided to start selling them. I don't make them myself. Somebody makes them for me. So I market them, I package them. The packaging is all me. I just like to be around them and share them with people. So that's why I did it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Beautiful. And that's why I asked, because I want to make sure people get the significant. I don't want people to feel like, oh, I just did that just because this time was getting hard. Nah, it was a little bit of thought in that, People got to recognize that you put thought into taking part in the soap and the health of it. Because, using natural soaps, I don't know exactly what's in the soaps, but I'm familiar with like black soap and stuff like that versus using, like you said, ivory soap is a different world. I'm not even going to compare them. It's just, you just feel a certain cleanliness on your spirit when you're using them. You just feel better. That it's not all them chemicals and unnatural things in it. So many chemicals in fragrance. Fragrance has so much different chemicals in it. It's a word for toxic chemicals. So yeah, it's good to hear that. And I had one other thing, just to make sure that you shout this out, just to make sure we leave a stamp on this for your soap, because we want to show you what you're doing out here. Is there any soap that you have of yours that's your favorite?
Well, I like them all, but my true favorite is eucalyptus spearmint.
Okay, I'm not going to go too much into detail unless you have anything special you want to say about it.
I don't want to spend too much time talking about my soaps, but like, people could check it out if they want. I have an Instagram about it. If you guys want to learn more, you can just go to Kozis, Kozis, Pure Soaps on Instagram. You could check them out for yourselves.
All right, yeah, I just had to just get that clear, just to make sure what you're doing is known.
I appreciate that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for sure. Squeaky, you got anything to say?
Oh no, support all the small business. We gotta support each other. Definitely.
Right. All right. So we're gonna jump into this next question. How have you kept yourself strong and healthy throughout the stress of the pandemic to share advice for others?
Yeah, good question. You know, um, well, it depends, right? Well, I try to laugh a lot. I like comedy. I'm a natural comedian, so I try to laugh as much as I can, and that makes me feel good. It makes others around me feel better, right? So I like to do voiceovers of different politicians, and if you catch my Instagrams, you'll see all the little stuff I do, and that's how I get back at them. And also, I feel a relief, like this release that comes off my chest when I laugh and feel like I'm making other people laugh. And we also have to laugh at ourselves. Like I don't think we should take life too serious all the time, even though we're dealing with serious stuff. Uh, and I'm not gonna front. Like last couple of years have been very tough for me. Like I say the last 5 years have been very difficult fighting this system like this, because I've seen the increase from where they were going, where they removed religious exemptions from children to all the way to what we're seeing now, right? It's been living a nightmare, to be honest. We're definitely at war, so it's not easy. So I'm not going to front like it's a piece of cake to do this. Some days I'm stressed out. Some days I don't feel like sleeping. Some days I'm not taking care of myself. I do have balance. So when I see that, like, what, I didn't sleep good that day, or I didn't eat well that day, I'll make sure the next day I clean up my diet, or I'll fast, or I'll take a moment to breathe, just slow deep breathing, and just make sure like I'm resetting my body. And that's what I want to just tell people is, like, make sure you're always resetting yourself, whether it's walking outside, walking along a river, or like being next to trees, or just stopping and just slow deep breathing. Shut off your phone, whatever you can do to kind of close off from that crazy world.
Right.
Definitely. I just had to
Yeah.
take some few deep breaths before we started. There's so much going on, and I listened to noise, not noise, frequency sounds. Like that's a very very. We have to learn the importance of the frequency in the music and sound therapy. It's very helpful.
Beautiful, very beautiful. Yeah, that's good stuff right there.
Right. This is a spiritual war, a spiritual warfare, and like you said, when we talk, it sounded like you was about to say something earlier that attain to like doing something more in the physical. Yeah, when it comes down to like taking over for politicians and stuff like that, in the spiritual sense, definitely with leadership, with different elements of activity and movement and stuff like that. It's those things, characteristics, strong structure and things like that. This is definitely a battle, and it does get stressful. And like you said, there's going to be times where you feel down and out, and it's all about balance. That's the key word. It's all about balance. Just making sure you exercise, you do things that are stress relieving, you take time out to do something entertaining for yourself for a second. Because if you sit there soaking up all of this stuff and soaking up all of this propaganda all the time, you mess around and you start to, your immune system starts to lower. You start to see things, you're stressed out. You start to get chronic stress, and fatigue starts happening, and all of that. So you got to make sure you balance yourself out. So that was definitely a good note.
And as a
All right.
healthcare, I'm sure you've seen it. That you've seen it numerous times. What stress can do.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. I mean, stress is the ultimate. Like, it's basically, if you boil everything down to it, every disease is there's stress involved, right? Stress is, by having a disease, your body's stressed, and by having stress, your body can get a disease. It's just it's both, right? So whatever, like you could connect stress to everything, to high blood pressure, to anxiety, right? These are just basic things that we like. It's irrefutable, right? You know that if you're stressed out, your blood pressure is going to go up, your blood sugar is going to go up, right? Because your body thinks it's under attack. So if your body keeps thinking that you're at war, if you keep thinking that you're under attack, your blood pressure goes up because your body's getting ready to run away. Your blood sugar goes up because your body's getting extra sugar in its system so you can have energy to run, right? So this is really deep when you think about it. It's simple, but it's deep when you think on that level of survival. So if you can tell your body, hey, you know what, I'm safe. So like, we have to remind ourselves that we are safe. Like, and if we have to make believe so, we have to. So that's by shutting off things, right? And being quiet, or taking a warm bath, or when's the last time you took a bath, right? Most of us don't. But if you take time to take a warm bath and put like some lavender oil or whatever, some kind of scent that you like to relax yourself, all of a sudden your body's going to feel like it's safe, and your blood pressure will go down, okay, faster than any medication known to man. Your blood sugar will go down, and your energy will go up. So this is really deep when you think about it. It's simple, but it's deep when you think on that level of survival. So if you can tell your body, hey, you know what, I'm safe. So like, we have to remind ourselves that we are safe. Like, and if we have to make believe so, we have to. So that's by shutting off things, right? And being quiet, or taking a warm bath, or whatever, some kind of scent that you like to relax yourself, all of a sudden your body's going to feel like it's safe, and your blood pressure will go down, okay, faster than any medication known to man. Your blood sugar will go down, Your anxiety will lessen, right? It will go down. So it's like magic, right? And it's not magic. It's just basic common sense. And again, if you're in water, there's another step to that where I like to tell people is when you're laying in a bathtub, your body thinks that it's back in its womb, in its mother's womb. It's like it gives something to your body where it's like, now I'm safe. I'm in my mother's womb, so everything just calms down and your health will improve by just doing something that simple.
I thought about it like that. Wow.
That's what I mean. That's new for me. That's good information for me. That's good information for anybody that's hearing it, because
Right.
I never even looked at it like, how important it is. I've always heard about people using the Epsom salt and getting, taking a bath and stuff like that. But I just be like, man, I just gotta go. I gotta make moves. Let's go, hurry up. I'll never take time to really be like, relax, calm down.
Yeah, and you hit it on the nail too. Epsom salt is amazing too, or Dead Sea salts, which you can use that too. That has magnesium in it. That stuff will relax your body too. It'll relax your nervous system and blood pressure for sure. But if you don't have Epsom salt, you can just do straight up, warm bath.
Right. And that either way, do something proactive. Get your alignment of things together to make sure that you managing your stress. It's called stress management. A lot of us don't really have stress management. We just go to the liquor store or something, or we just, binge watch something or whatever, and then all right, that's it. Let me go back to work. Let me just go back to life right after that. So we need to get a better element of that going on.
Right.
Royalty, what's going on?
Hey, Royalty Monroe, checking in the room. Goldfinger Visions. How you doing, Roy?
I'm doing good. What's going on? Y'all can hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, good.
All right, Kozi, this is Royalty. Just stepping in.
What's going on?
How you doing?
Good.
We all met at the rally, the one that you performed at. So that's us. We all here.
So you said you was 10 years in on going against vaccines. So that's an extensive history that comes probably about around the time when, a little bit before patents and stuff like that even started for the COVID vaccine in the first place. So could you explain like what made you even start to get into like fighting the and stuff like that?
Yeah. It was 2009, around 2009, because that's the first year I became a healthcare worker, right? So I was working at a nursing home, and what happened was that was the time when H1N1 was around, right? And there was talk about them mandating the vaccine, the flu vaccine. And this was going to be a new flu vaccine, which the H1N1 was going to be put into. And I never took a flu shot in my life. I only had like vaccines as a kid. Luckily, my mother was, she didn't have a lot of knowledge, but she just had an instinctual feeling like, hey, I don't want to give these to my kid. It just didn't make sense to her. So she had a couple of them, and then, she had, I don't want to get too deep into it, but she had a religious revelation. She had a dream, and it was something that told her not to do it anymore. Okay, and I don't want to get into it because that's my mother's story, so I don't want to, I don't want to talk about her story. I just want to focus on me. But basically, whatever it was, she had the wisdom to not give them to me. But by the time it was 2009, I never thought much about, right? As an adult, as a kid, I never thought about them. But then when they told me that, oh, we're going to force this on you, like you need to have this, it's going to be mandated. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I'm naturally, like, I don't like people telling me what to do, right? It's like, I like to question people, and I like to question things, and I like to research. So when they said that, I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm like, let me look into this first of all. Like, why do you want this in my body? I've never got sick before. I haven't, at that moment, like, I hadn't gotten sick in like 25 years. Not even, like, I've never had a flu in my life at that point, like nothing, right? Why do I need this? I'm healthy. So I started reading the ingredients, and I found out this thing was called thimerosal. And I'm like, okay, what's thimerosal? I looked into it. I was like, oh my God, this is mercury, one of the most dangerous chemicals known to man. Okay, we know that causes brain damage. We know that it can make people crazy. It can cause all sorts of health problems. It could cause kidney damage and liver damage and all sorts of stuff. Okay, so I'm like, why would I want to put this in my body? So I kept digging in more and more, and I found this doctor called Dr. Tenpenny. She's a legend, and she opened up my eyes. Like, first I started listening to her, but I thought she was a little too extreme. And then the more I started listening to her, then actually researching what she said, I didn't just believe her. I started looking at the research. I would go up to PubMed and look at the studies myself and be like, oh, wow, she's not kidding. This is causing this is causing that. And then I was learning about autism and like all sorts of stuff that was happening that they were covering up. So I was like, wow. So as I started learning this stuff, I started, spreading the information to fellow healthcare workers, and I was pushing back a lot and just talking to people in my normal day to day. At first they, obviously thought I was crazy because nobody was talking about vaccines at the time, like nobody I knew. So they started thinking I'm a conspiracy theorist and this and that. So there was times where I started like, okay, let me just be quiet now. And I was very careful about who I spoke to about, because it was very kind of, it's like hard territory to talk about, because then you don't want to be labeled a certain way. And after a while, I just didn't care. I started speaking everywhere I could,
Right. Yeah, man, that's a lot, man. I mean, I think, it takes a lot to be a healthcare worker. Working in the industry, you take your job seriously, you take your career seriously, and then you building, you working, you see things going wrong, you're speaking out about it, but it's a bias and it's a control factor, and you just gotta just silence yourself, and you gotta try to see who you can talk about it. Then you can't be yourself, and then you getting, names like conspiracy on top of you and stuff like that. So that's good that you kept that spirit, and I think that this is something that the people need to hear. Somebody coming from with inside that studied other doctors, and then they said you wasn't sick for 25 years. So I think this is a strong message that people need to hear, because your whole your vax history yourself personally, and it goes further down that you didn't even want to speak about too much. But it's good that you briefed on it, because people need to see the deep alignment of what's going on. So that's good. Do y'all have anything to say about that?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, how important is it for you to be a strong role model for the youth, basically?
It's my major mission. It's my top mission right now. And that's why I'm here. I know my purpose, and my purpose it's freedom, basically. Bodily autonomy is what we call it. The freedom to choose what goes into our bodies, what we eat, what we drink, what kind of health choices we make for ourselves. To me, that's ultimate importance, because if we don't have the power and the freedom, right, to choose what goes into our body, then that means that the government owns our body. And that means that we are slaves. And I'm not a slave. I will never be a slave. And I will fight to the death, seriously, to the death, for that freedom. And I will not allow anybody to take that away from me. Okay. And that's why I'm here. And I'm here to lead the charge. One of many leaders. I'm not saying obviously I'm the only, but I've taken upon myself to lead the way, because I know what's right. I know what's truth. And I've seen what I've seen. I've seen thousands upon thousands of people over the years. Literally, if you see my inbox, just from the time I've been on Instagram, let's say, okay, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of messages of my child was perfectly normal. I got this scene, and now they can't speak. Now they're banging their heads on the table. Now my kid has autoimmune disease. Now my kid, can't tie his shoes. Now my kid is running into walls. Now my kid has serious kidney damage. Now my kid has heart disease. Okay? This stuff would bring me to tears, listening to these story after story after story after story, like living a nightmare. And we're trying to point this stuff out, and then we have people calling us conspiracy theories or lunatics, or, oh, this is not happening. Oh, no, it's not the vaccine. It's just a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence. These people are murderers. They're here to harm us. They're here to destroy our health. They're about greed and population control, and I could get into all of that. But they're here to reduce the population. And I'll say this, the top of the mountains, top of the buildings, I don't care what anybody says. They said it themselves. And I can show you proof that they said it themselves.
Exactly.
We know they said it themselves. They had TED Talks. They had all kind of talks. They say it right in front of everyone's face.
Correct. And their own scientists, CDC scientists, they're trying to cover this up. Dr. William Thompson, back in, a few years ago, I don't remember how many years ago, maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago, he comes out and says that yes, we saw alarming, I forgot what the percentage is right now. What is it, like 360% increase in autism in African American boys, okay? When they took the MMR vaccine, okay? He clearly said that, and he said, I was instructed to destroy the data and cover it up, okay? That is psychotic, and he's working in the CDC, and they're covering this up. They're not letting him testify. When people have subpoenaed him, they try to subpoena him in court, and the CDC blocked it and said, we will not let him go onto the stage. Like, why not? Why are you not letting him get on the stage? I mean, that's criminal activity right there. Everybody in the CDC should be arrested. Everybody who's calling for that blocking of that, should be arrested in my eyes.
You're right. They should.
You know, what are we doing? We're pointing this stuff out, and now they suppressed it. They're covering it up, and then people forget it. And what they did was, oh, let's just hit them with something different. You know, then they hit us with COVID for us to forget this. And like, now you're not hearing as much about that because now we have other things to deal with, and they're gonna just keep hitting us with different diseases. Now the polio is next, monkeypox.
This is why that Bill Gates, this record got to come out, because he got 11 different, you know what I'm saying, things he tampering with. We're not about to sit around and keep playing with this. Like, we're not about to do this.
They dropping variants like records.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. The people are waking up, right? They're slowly waking up. And I think COVID-19 was the best thing to ever happen, in a way, that operation they did, because now we know who's awake, right? We know who's sleeping. We know, like, people started questioning things, you know? And I think that this was a big fault on their part.
Big time.
You know, when I was there at the rally, you know, and I talked to this guy, and the guy that was actually arguing and made a scene over there, the guy that made a scene at the rally.
Okay, yeah, you were there, right?
Yeah, what are y'all doing? I was talking, I talked to him on the side because I really wanted to pick his brain a little bit. The muscular dude. So he's like, what are y'all doing, man? What are y'all here for? Like, what is this really about? And I was like, you know, I said something along the lines of like, yo, God brought us here, you know what I'm saying, to embrace the, you know, the right thing. We, you know, something, you don't feel like something's wrong with this? And he's like, he believes in the science and stuff like that. And I'm just like, what is really going on with us at this point? If you see people are fine and we're out here and we're moving around, people are running, exercising. I mean, when you were screaming, I'm unvaccinated on the stage, the cops were looking at you and they were just like, they just was like, in their head, they was just like, yo, why am I here? Why am I here trying to stop these people from doing anything they're doing or to distract them or divert them from anything they're doing? This is about people being sick if we didn't take this. People are dancing and jumping around. We weren't partying, but it looked like people had full of energy celebrating. Nobody was coughing or sick or anything like that. So it's just like, at this point, you should be looking at yourself like, okay, what am I doing with this job? You as a person questioning people and arguing people, what am I doing? These people are fine. They're saying they're fine. They're telling me to search into, you know, the history of vaccines, the history of what's going on. They're telling me to search into natural health and stuff like that. And you still want to argue me, and I'm here to actually talk to you about it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that guy was, you know, like, he triggered me, you know what I mean? And sometimes I should know better, because sometimes I carry myself properly, sometimes I don't, you know? And people like that just they don't want to hear us. They just want to talk their crap. They already made up their mind. As soon as he saw that American flag, it triggered him, because he's like, what's this? What's this? And the only reason he asked what's this is because that American flag was there, because people in this country have been taught that the American flag is evil, that it's the worst thing. And also when I was growing up too, like I remember it was almost like we were taught to hate the flag. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. Like, and it's not like I'm like crazy about the American flag or about any political outlook in general, you know, because I'm not really crazy about picking sides, you know what I mean? But you know, I think that's what triggered him initially. I'm pretty sure that's what triggered him. And then he already assumed that we're Trump supporters just because he saw American flag, which is insane.
Right. Well, I could say one thing. It's a dark side and a light side to everything.
He said to you was, do you really think God such and such and such? And he was like, I'm not a believer.
Oh, yeah, he said, do I really think God exists at all? And I looked at him in his eyes, and I was like, God exists, bro. And I said, take time to look into it. And then I told him, if you want to believe in science, then okay, I'm gonna take you to some doctors that believe in God, which is the frontline doctors, and they are bringing real information. You know what I'm saying? Simone Gold just got free from jail and everything like that. So she's going through a hard fight right now and everything like that. So I took him to them. So I said, if you don't believe in God, let me take you to doctors that believe in God, so you can read about them, and then maybe God will, you know what I'm saying, hit you with some knowledge or something. That's what I did for him.
That's good, man. Yeah, hopefully he looks into it.
Yeah, I hope he does, because he needs it. Anybody got anything else to say about that? Royalty, you got anything, any thoughts?
We can move on to the next question.
Cool. What do you feel like about having the political figures? You said you want to have the right people as the political figures, as yourself, as people of New York Rally, people that are healthcare workers, people that are educators, and etc. Like, what do you think some of the changes that actually take place from those things happening?
Well, first we would have to respect the Constitution, right? That Constitution is there for a reason. And the politicians in New York are not following it, because we would have a perfect system if they just followed the rules that the laws of this land that were put together. And I think the people who created this country, like who put this together, had a right vision, right? They didn't always get it perfect, obviously, right? Because they did some messed up things too along the way, right? But if they did exactly what they said in those writings, we would have limited government, which I think is great. You know, government should not be telling you what to do. Government's not here to keep you safe. Okay, the Democrat Party believes that and pushes that, like, oh, this is for your safety. Wear a mask, it's for everyone's safety. No, that's all right. I'll take care of myself. You do what you want to do. You do you, I do me. Don't tell me what to do. No, I'm not getting things shoved up my nose. I'm not getting, muzzled. I'm not going to be random, tested, vaxxed. Like, leave me alone. Okay, you do what you want to do. That's not your role. Your role is to make sure that we have the right to bear arms, we have the right to free speech, okay? We have the right to not be searched and seized without, probable cause. And there's all these other things that are there to protect us from tyrannical government, okay? That Constitution was there to protect us from them. And people don't see it that way. They think that, oh, we have constitutional rights. That's not how it works. The Constitution is not for us. It's for them. It's to put them in check. It's like saying, yo, don't touch their guns. Don't touch their speech. And what are they doing? They're removing people's guns. They're silencing us, okay? Which is the first violation of the law of this land, is to silence our speech. If you don't agree with us, if you think we're lying, prove it. Prove that I'm lying. Okay, show me your side. Tell me. Show the world. Leave it up to everybody to decide. You don't silence me. So that shows that there's a problem with them, because they don't want us speaking a certain way. We got to question why. Why is that?
Yeah, and the control factor behind it is outrageous. It feels like you just, it's like a control factor so strong that it's just like, oh no, I can't accept this. And some people just can't see like what it feels like. It just seems, because it's normal to them. It's just like, oh, we just, whatever they say goes. I've literally seen people say that, whatever they say goes. I'm just looking at them like, man, no, man, you have rights, man. You have rights. Another thing that I noticed is like, they saying this is for your safety. And in news, if you look at old news clips and old news stuff on YouTube or wherever you see it, just old news, Fox News, any news, they've admitted multiple times that 75% of diseases come from stress. So we need to take a step back from applying pressure on something that people don't want in their body, or don't want on them, or don't want around them, and try to just do stress reducing things, like, things more fun, helping with financial aspects of life, helping with therapeutic aspects of life, helping with family aspects of life, bringing endorsements to create better communities and stuff like that, because that will have us in a better state of mind, spiritually, mentally, and physically, than, taking some medicine. Stress creates 75% of diseases. That is ridiculous to be ignored at this point right now. We need to focus on stress then.
No doubt. And what did they do? They put us into stress on purpose, right? That's what they did. They locked us down. They muzzled us. and they put fear. Every like minute you would hear on the news, COVID, 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 COVID. You go on the trains, all plastered, propaganda plastered everywhere. You couldn't escape the word COVID. So naturally, everybody was going to be scared. Whether you were scared of the virus or you were scared of the tyrannical overreach, but you were scared on some level.
Exactly.
So they played both sides, right? So like you had the fear of the virus versus the fear of the government, of what the government's going to do to us. So that they knew they hit both sides.
Right. Then you got us stuck inside. We can't get no sunlight. You know, all these small things, putting a mask on people's face all day, is compressing your breath. Just it was so much tactical
Pure evil
things.
Well, you can't even eat. You can't eat at a restaurant. You gotta go. You gotta show your papers. You can't go to
Yo, that was so
Social
crazy.
anxiety.
It was so crazy thinking about, like, there's some people saying, right? There was some politicians on TV saying, oh, you should eat between pull up your mask, right? And like you chew and then put your mask down. They were saying like between bites you should mask yourself. I'm like, are these people psychotic? Like, who the does that? Who like would do that?
Dirty
mask. You gotta be a real slave to do that.
It's so demonic because it's like people forget God gave us free will, right? So how can we allow man or wicked powers to give us or demand us that we don't have free will? It's like they're tricking us to think that we don't have a choice. But God said, like, people lost so much faith that they forget God gave us free will. God gave us freedom, gave us basically a free mind to decide, a decision, right? So how come we allow these people to do this to us? You know, put the Constitution aside. Like, we shouldn't even need laws for freedom. You understand? When it comes to God, put aside their man-made laws. Think about what God gave us to do. What did He say to do? We're steady letting these people dictate. These are demons. These are demonic people, first of all. This is a beast system. We're allowing them to do this to humanity because they want to kill. They want to destroy, like you said. They want to get rid of God's creations. They created by God themselves, but they have a whole nother agenda because they already know where they're going. They know they have to take as many people as they can before, you know, their time is up.
Yeah, I just feel like the system literally just wants to take you away from all of God's natural ways of life and just get you closer and closer to committing sins.
You're absolutely right, and that's what I think. I think they hate God, they hate life, they hate health, because life, health, vitality, that's all positive, right? So what they do is twist it. They want to, so they're making you sick, they're making you stressed, they're making you unhealthy. So they want to destroy everything that God created because they want to make their own. They think they're gods. They think that they're more powerful. So that's why they want to make us into cyborgs. Their plan is to merge us with robots. Their plan is to confuse humanity and tell little boys that they could be little girls and that it's perfectly fine. And you know what? If you're an adult and you want to be a woman, that's your choice. Your man wants to be a woman wants, I don't care. But don't start at children and start confusing them from little kids and telling them that they can hack off body parts like butcher their body parts and chemically alter them. This is all about this sick, twisted ego that they have, or a complex that they think they're better than God. Again, destroying His creation and creating their own creations. Right. This is disgusting.
Yeah, also I want to point out, this is why it's important to do heavy detoxes and stuff like that, because a lot of the chemicals and the stuff that we may eat and drink and stuff like that is just things that can change, especially for children, can transform them a little bit emotionally and stuff like that, and we got to watch for stuff like that. So I figured the best way to handle that is, try to eat the most natural things that you can eat, but also to detox often. Yeah, there's strong drugs out here, you know what I'm saying, that they tested on frogs and stuff like that really, turn a little froggy the wrong way.
Yeah, man. Right. So they're doing to us, man. And then when you tell people this stuff, and I was talking about this a while ago, way back, like back around 2010, 2009, talking about, those experiments. I seen them. I was reading about this stuff. Like, oh yeah, they're putting this stuff in the water. The frogs are turning gay. They're turning, they're not even gay. They're just turning transgender. They're literally producing ovaries. the atrazine, all that stuff, and the hormones in the system, like all over. Like you said, we're flooded with the pollutants and plastics, and even touching a receipt. When you touch a receipt from the store that has estrogen on it, all this stuff, we're bombarded with. And even
Oh
plants have
my.
estrogens, right? Certain plants, the soy plant, we
Wow.
know that has estrogen. We know the GMOs have, chemicals like the glyphosates, right? They can mess up our hormone system. And this is what we're seeing. The birth control pills that women were told to take for years and years and years. What do you think that does? When a woman takes a birth control pill, that stuff gets into her fat cells. It doesn't leave their hormones, and they store in their fat cells. And they could store, like, let's say you take a birth control pill, ladies, you're taking it now, that could stay in your system for months, maybe, who knows, maybe a year, depending on how toxic you already are. It could just latch on there. And then when you're ready to have a baby, maybe those hormones will get into that baby and cause it to be confused, cause it to be transgender, cause it to be confused about their sexual orientation. And that child, is just bombarded with chemicals and hormones, okay? And ladies, you got to think about that and think about, use natural birth control, use condoms. Why are you going to put chemicals in your body? And be more careful, ladies and guys. Be careful. When you're with a woman, take that serious. Protect yourself at all times. Even if it's at 1 second. Oh, guys, say this. Oh, I'm just going to do this for a little bit, or just a little bit. That little second could create a baby. So you got to be very responsible with yourselves, okay? Because this is life you're talking about, and this has repercussions.
That needs to be heard. I ain't even gonna lie, man.
Needed to be said. And
For real.
Only be cozy.
Look, man, what can make it better, man? You just made it better.
For real.
Well, we have to be careful, because I know we've been laxed about this, and you hear young girls that don't know. They're 18, 19, and in school they're giving them, even 17, 16-year-old girls are given birth control pills. Oh, you could take it without mommy's permission. Don't worry. Here's some, the government is providing it for them. They have no idea that this could cause blood clots. They don't know, no idea that these ladies can get cancer later on, heart disease, all sorts of stuff. They don't warn you about this. They go, just take it, you won't have a baby. Oh, but you'll have blood clots, you'll have cancer, you'll have strokes, you'll have all sorts of shit. Crazy. It's not fair. It's not fair.
All right. And as the people listening to this is coming from, somebody that's got experience on the field. That's all I got to say. This is not coming from, somebody that don't know what they're talking about. This man knows what he's talking about.
Right. Years and years in education and life experience.
Right. All right, man. So I'm feeling really good about this conversation. I feel like we covering things well, and it's definitely a helpful conversation. I mean, it's been helpful to me for listening to it. It's one of them conversations I'll listen back to just get certain insights again, be reminded of certain things, and certain new information too.
You're definitely learning a lot today. I learned a lot.
Right.
I'm glad I can help in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely appreciated.
Within 1 hour, that's what we like about these conversations. We are helping educate so many through you all, and just us bouncing off of each other, our life experiences. We're actually helping many, many people who share our same story, different backgrounds, but it doesn't matter. As long as we're coming together, that's what it's about.
Yeah, and we all have to do it within our circles, right? Family, speak to your family, friends, because everybody can do their part. And if you change one life, just one life, you've made an amazing difference, because that one life will teach their kids and their friends. And you get the idea, but it's going to have a ripple effect. And now I know you guys are affecting more than one person, right? You're affecting maybe hundreds of people. Could you imagine that effect that we're having on humanity? Then when we put ourselves all together, we're reaching millions of people worldwide. I get messages from Japan. I get messages from Australia, from Canada, from different states, from South America. Getting messages from people saying, wow, thank you for this information. So I know we're having a major impact. So I want you guys to just keep going, keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't stop. And we're going to change this world for the better. And we are changing this world for the better right now.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Salute.